I now have another very great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Joseph Scheidler, who, as you know, is really an American institution. He has been called the grandfather of the American pro-life movement. He has been an inspiration for generations of pro-life activists, such as previous Walk for Life West Coast speakers Lila Rose, the Reverend Walter Hoy, and David DeLayden, and an inspiration as well to all of us here today. He has been fighting tirelessly for the rights of the unborn since even before the infamous Roe versus Wade decision. The website of the Pro-Life Action League, the organization founded by Mr. Scheidler in 1980, says, Joe first got involved in the pro-life movement in 1972, when at the urging of his wife, Ann, bless you, Ann, he took the family to a pro-life leafleting day in downtown Chicago. So he has had the honor of being sued twice by now, with both convictions being overturned by the Supreme Court and with now forced to pay Mr. Scheidler's court costs. He is an author, a speaker, an activist, a husband, the father of 7 children, and he and Ann have numerous grandchildren. So please welcome the 2018 recipient of the John Amula Award for Pro-Life Heroism, Mr. Joseph Scheidler.
So we're going to offer this to Joe Scheidler, my personal pro-life hero of all time. So please give him a warm welcome, and he's going to say a few words.
Beautiful. It's hot enough to take my coat off here, but I'm not taking my hat off. People don't know me without the hat. They ask me in church, where's your hat, Joe? I'm Catholic, I don't wear a hat in church. Anyway, I want to give you a little something I've been thinking about. You know, I was out in New York this summer and they had a beautiful venue. It was looked like the Taj Mahal, everything was white marble, but they had everybody on the same level so that the speakers couldn't be seen, you know, people sitting around at their tables, so some of them were still talking. And I don't like for people to talk when I'm talking. And I like people to face me like this. You know, you wouldn't all turn around and I'd talk to your back. So I got up and I said, the time is out of joint. Oh, cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right. I got their attention. To get your attention, it's the theme of my talk, basically. Hamlet's time was out of joint because his father had died. He'd come back from school in Germany to Denmark, and barely was his father's body cold when his mother married his father's brother, who became king, although Hamlet should have. And then Hamlet was having problems with the fact that his mother was married to the uncle, and it all looked bad. And in the course of the things, as you know, you Shakespeare experts and English majors and so on, it all got worse and worse. And finally, Ophelia commits suicide, his fiancée. He kills Ophelia's father. The brother comes from England to kill Hamlet, and it goes on, and he has to put on a play because then he begins to think maybe this was just something from the devil. Maybe it's not true. And so he has this play doctored up. You know the story, but the point is, in Hamlet's time, things were so bad, he felt he had to make them right. And of course, that was for him, it was a spite, a wicked, cruel spite. Our times are out of joint. Just take a look at us. Look where we've come. You know, I was a little boy back in the Depression, and people went to church, they prayed, and so on. It wasn't a perfect society. But look what's happened with our over-the-counter contraception. That used to be against the law. The unwanted pregnancies, ending in abortion, making abortion the law of the land. Abortion, murder. Everybody knows. The Hippocratic Oath 500 years before Christ, I will not give an instrument to cause an abortion. They know. Science knows life begins at the very beginning. That tiny little dot, about the size of the dot at the end of a sentence, that being a new human being with the joining of the ovum and the sperm is more valuable than the entire universe. Because that tiny little dot, you and me, at the very beginning of our lives, are made immortal. We will live forever. We don't know what's going to happen to the universe, but we know that we have immortal souls, and we are of more value than all material goods you can imagine. And yet today, our laws say that you can destroy that child for any reason or virtually no reason. And we're working hard, of course, everywhere we are, to try to stop it, to talk women out of it. And we have to do it in the old Benedictine way, ora et labora. Can you say that? Ora et labora. Just learned 2 Latin words today from this guy from Chicago. Ora et labora, to pray and to work. That is a solution. You have to pray. You go to God. You have to be close to God. And then you work. And I tell people, do it every day. Pray and work. I got into the movement going to this talk by Henry Hyde in 1972, and what really got me into it is when they handed me a brochure, Life and Death, and I saw what abortion does to the babies. And one day I was at a meeting of pro-life leaders, pro-life activists in Chicago at a place called Monasteros, which now is closed. But Monasteros, we were all sitting around, about 8 of us, and we went around, and I said, what got you into the movement? I saw the pictures. I saw what abortion does to a baby. Every single one of these activists who dedicated their lives to fighting abortion has seen abortion. So I think it's important, even though it may be uncomfortable, we have a thing called Face for Life, where we go out along the highways, the busy streets, not to the abortion clinics so much, but to the busy areas where lots of cars are. And in one of our Faces of Life tours, which lasts 10 days, an hour and a half at each stop for 3 stops each day, 22 women stopped and told us that having seen the pictures, they were canceling their abortions. So seeing is believing. And we have to do it with faith. Christ was always looking for faith. Remember the woman that touched his robe? And he said, who touched me? And they said, everybody's touching you. No, who touched me? And strength went out. The woman was cured. And he praised her for her faith. The centurion who said, my servant's sick. Come and help my servant. And he says, oh, just say the word. Just say the word and my servant will be healed. Such beautiful words, we use them in the Mass, except for servant. And Jesus praised him for his faith. And all the way through, Jesus is looking for faith. Who do you say that I am? And Peter says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. So we do it with faith because that's what Christ looks for. We believe, we know. See, we have the truth. Life is valuable, our greatest value. And the mind looks for the truth. And that's why the abortionists are always so grouchy and angry and miserable, because they have adopted falsehood. And the mind's not happy. I say 2 and 2 is 5, and you say, no, it's not. 2 and 2 and 4, you feel good. The mind seeks truth, and the will seeks the good. And that's another reason abortion is so unhappy, because they kill, and that's not good. They kill innocent, defenseless human beings. Now, this is a big crowd, but compared to our opposition, the millions of people who support abortion, we're few. And I started with Shakespeare, and I went into something that I think applies to us. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he who sheds his blood with me today shall be my brother. And gentlemen of bed in England who were not here will think themselves accursed and hold their manhood cheap when any speaks who fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day. And then I say to the crowd, big or small, today, tomorrow, and every day, for us, we few, we happy few, is St. Crispin's Day.